And here I have a brain called to do app. Okay, so everyone please load it into your local computer and we can work on it to save time on working on the HTML. Okay, so we can just focus on the UGS in this brain to do app. You can copy link for you to see. Here. So after you clone the app, should stop first. Okay. After you clone the app, make sure you run npm install. When you run npm install, meaning you are installing all the dependency which is inside this package.json. Okay. And then you will have the folder node module which contain all the dependency that you have installed. And after that, you can deploy it by running npm console. And you should have this app running on port 8080. Okay. And here we are using Bootstrap. We are using Bootstrap to build these UIs. I get it from the Bootsnip website. Okay, so it's not my work with this. And this is just the sample data. We are going to remove it, and we want to add the new to do here. For example, write a report. Okay, it's not work yet because it's only HTML and CSS. And we click. When we enter, it should drop here, down here. Okay, and when we click on this, it should move to this to mark it as done. And every task which is done need to have some cross mark on it. See, and the item left here should show the correct number. See, we have 3 tasks to do, so it should see we should see 3 items left. Okay, so if we take one, move to here, and it should drop to 2 items left. And if you mark all are done, you will remove everything from the list into this. Okay. So here's our goal, and the to-do app here is quite a good example to show our lesson today, which is the life cycle, the computer property, the watch property, and many more. Okay. And have you done any backend in TP already, right? I see some TP you cover you already cover some backend. For now, can you create API or not yet? Củaយើងhiệnដល់បង្កើត API បង្កើតបានเลยលេងនៅអត់ណា Lina
Because we study a little bit about API, like the API from some resource, but about make API we not clear about that.
Okay, it depends on the situation. If you haven't go deep into the API yet, because this demo I want to use the API to store the information. okay, to reflect about the life cycle that we are going to look to work on. If you haven't created working on the API yet, we can use Firebase for the meantime. Do you know how to use Firebase? If not, I can just show it to you how to use it. It's easy to do it, and there are a lot of documents that you can use. First, you're going to the Firebase console. Here, I show you the link. Okay, you must have an account with the Google to do that, and then you go to Firebase console. You can create the application. Okay, let me show from the beginning. Maybe you can type in Firebase console like this, and it should be at the top. Click on it. Okay, you should come into here. All right, and then you go to console. It come into here, which is the link I sent to you. And then you can create on the add project here. Type your project whatever, maybe my great to do app, something like this, and click continue. And let me just create another one. And then I disable the Google Analytics because it's not about, we are not building some website which is require analytics. So just disable it for simplified thing, and then click create project. It might take a few seconds. Okay, this is done, and then click continue. It will redirect to your application, which is the migrate to app here. Okay, and inside there are a lot of things to do, but skip anything that is not necessary. We are not working on. We are not going too deep into this, and we can click on this web button. I will value here if you haven't done it yet. And also, if you don't know about Firebase yet, actually Firebase is very popular for any one that want to build an application without caring too much about the backend. Because you know, when we want to build a web application or mobile application, we need to have the front end and back end, right? And backend normally we need to build it with PHP Laravel, or maybe Node.js, or maybe with Python. We can go something like that. But to do all of those things, there are a lot of tasks to do. You need to set up server, you need to have to write your code, you need to design your database, and many things, right? So in some case, if you want to build some small app, small to medium app, they can use an existing backend. For example, Firebase is one of those, and maybe the AWS serverless, or maybe a lot more. I just don't remember the name. But anyway, Firebase is one of the popular backend that you can use. Okay, it provides free free planning. Like for example, this one I use the Spark planning, which costs $0 per month. So you don't need to pay anything if you are using in it free plan here. See, there's a limit for 10K authentication per month, 1 gig file store to store your file, video, image, for example. Network ingress, network write, document write, document read, delete. Okay, so if you are using the Firebase in up into this allow plan, you don't pay anything unless you go over it to do this. That's why they will charge you. All right. So anyway, the number here is quite big already. Don't worry about it. Okay, guys. So are you here already? And after you have your app set up, you can click on this, because with Firebase we can create app for different type of platform. You can use with iOS, Apple, Android, or maybe a web, or maybe Unity here. In our case, we are going to use the web here, and then give your app nickname to do app on web. Just type whatever you want. This one is for hosting, but we are not going to go into this yet. We will do it separately, so you don't need to check it here. You just click register app. Okay, so it will provide some instruction for you to go further. All right, there is some information for my app, so don't use it directly into your app, but use your own key. All right, this is my key, but it's mine for me, because after this I will remove the app. And then we copy this npm install, because we are going to require Firebase SDK to access to our application on the Firebase. Copy this, go back to our project here. I will stop running for now, and then pass it. See, npm install Firebase. Enter. It will installing the dependency, which is the Firebase, into the app. Need to wait a bit, and maybe at some time I can copy all this into, because we need this. We need to keep the information. Okay, let's wait a bit here. It takes some time. It depends on your internet as well. Okay, so we already installed. We can double check in the package.json to see if you can find the Firebase. Currently, we are using 9.6 version, which is the latest one. Okay, close it, and then we need to go to the main.js here. Then you should be able to import Firebase from Firebase. Okay, import it from the folder in the module here, and after that you can create a Firebase config, which is the same as this one here. You can just copy it from here. Just save some time to write it down. Okay, the Firebase config here is the information so that your client application can access to Firebase server. Okay. Later I will remove it to the env because I want to make sure that everyone doesn't use my information here. You need to use your own information, all right? And then you can type Firebase dot initialize app and pass in the Firebase config here. Okay. So this is some basic configuration that you can use. After that, you can start to use your Firebase. and you can follow the documentation inside here as well. You can here there is a getting started the sample. Okay. Okay. Here's some document that you can follow how to install it. Initialize app. And then step 3 here, accept file based in your app. Okay. So I will wait a little bit for you to follow me. Let me know if you have done it.
Sure why it's error.
Maybe make a screenshot or share your screen. Cho em chơi một tí xem. Nhóm chăm đi chỉ những thọp chuột nằm ở đó. Để những nó thọp xùm đó. Nhưng đi chỉ thọp hiệp. នេះយើងឲ្យធ្វើចឹងដែរនេះបញ្ចូលមួយនេះការមានsearchឃើញចឹងដែរយើងទៅsetting.json ណានេះបើសិនបើដល់ទៅធ្វើម៉េចនេះធ្វើតាមខ្ញុំណាយើងចុច Control Shift P Control Shift P ទៅបើក Windows នេះមកហើយវាយពាក្យ setting.json setting.json គួរនេះមួយនេះណានេះមិន JSON ទេJSON ព្រោះ setting មានពីរមួយ JSON មួយ form បែបនេះយើងស្រួលហៅយើងត្រូវហៅ setting.json វាយពេញតែម្ដងហ្នឹងយើង setting.json អូខេនេះ open setting.json ហើយទៅ Chrome គេដើរហៅមើលទៅហើយយើង search មើលមានពាក្យនេះអត់ copy ពាក្យនេះមកបើសិនបើវាមានហើយតែអ្នកឃើញមានទេអញ្ចឹងយើង copy ម្ដុំហ្នឹងមកខ្ញុំដាក់ក្នុង chat ឲ្យចាំហើយដាក់ក្នុងក្រុមគេមកក្បៀសមួយទៅអូខេដាក់អញ្ចឹងមកតោះនេះអញ្ចឹងបើខ្ញុំវាអត់មានបញ្ហាខ្ញុំអត់ចាំបាច់ enable ហ្នឹងឯងហើយតែប៉ុណ្ណឹងទៅ save វាទៅកាលមុនគ្នាយើងវាគាត់ជួបម្ដងដែរហើយធ្វើតាមហ្នឹង process បាន Anyone else have any problem? Okay, so until now, make sure that you have the Firebase ready for your application here. Firebase. Make sure you have the project. You create the web app already, and you have your own information like this that you can copy into your local. Okay. If everything working fine, just click continue to console here. You can come back into this page. Okay. And what we are going to do is to have the Firebase file store database here. With Firebase, you can do a lot of things. You can create the authentication by yourself, not by yourself, but use it to use in your local front-end app. You can use the database. Database in Firebase is like the MongoDB. I see your page, so you should already know about MongoDB. It's no actual database which doesn't have relation like MySQL or Postgres. Okay, so everything is a file, a JSON file, and we have the real-time database here that anytime that you change or update data, it will reflect or send to the other client. So you can use real-time database for chart or for something that you need the immediate change. And then we have storage here to store your file, your video, whatever you want to store in here, you can store it here as well. We have hosting. You can host your app for free actually. If you have done it here, I can show you how to host the file into the internet that you can access from anywhere. And there is a function machine learning. Actually, I don't really know about it as well, so just skip it. Just know that there are a lot of things that you can do. You can also have the analytic about how your app progress, how many visitors visit your app, about the user behavior, all of it inside here. We have also the engage here for the notification about the ad mob, about the testing, a lot, right? So, but anyway, we don't go into all this. My course here is not about Firebase, but how to build it and use it with WGS. So you just care about this file store database because we need it to store our data. And then you can create the database here. Okay. Maybe start in production or test mode, but I recommend to use the test mode because we don't care about who use it, right? and it will be available for 30 days here. After that, you can extend it, or maybe you create another one. Okay, so I use this the test mode here. Click next. Then you need to choose the location. Make sure it's close to your location. If not, it will take longer time to access to it. We are in the Asia section. It should be Asia South. Actually, Asia South is this one. Cambodia is in our Asia Southeast section. So maybe Southwest 1 or Southwest 2. I prefer this one. Enable. It takes some time. Okay. So here is our database interface. There's a rule here. A rule here refers to any who can access to your database. Okay. Okay. In here we don't really care about who access to it because we are using the test monitor. There is only the timestamp here. The timestamp is 2022/4/28, which is 30 days from now. Okay, so if we are accessing to this database within this day, we can access to it. But after this day, you cannot access to it anymore. You can change the date by then. All right. So you don't need to change anything in the rule here for now. We have the database here, right? Normally, this is the unique name. Actually, I'm not sure. Maybe your name can have some different. And we can start the collection. Let's say we have the collection task, right? Because we are working on the to-do here. So these are tasks. Okay, these are all tasks. So we have tasks here. I mark it as plural because normally the database, any table name should be a plural, refer to that there are a lot of records inside this table. So we are going to have a lot of tasks inside this collection. In Firebase or in MongoDB, the database, they don't call it a table. In a MySQL or Postgres, you call it table, but here they call it collection. All right? Because this is not relational database. This is the no actual database. Okay, everything is a collection. So I create a collection called task. Click next. Here the document ID, you can click auto generate because it requires to be unique. And then I call it name. We can check what we have here. We have name, right? Or maybe call it title, whatever. And there is a status here, which is marked as done or not yet, right? So I change it to title. Should be the string value. For now, we are testing it. So let's say washing this. Okay, another field, I call it status. Okay, and maybe let's just call it is done. Okay, and then we change it to Boolean, which is the value is 4. Okay, so we have different type of data here, and maybe you can have the related at. Okay, let's just make it a string, and we can use the command format, which is 29/03/2022. Okay, you can add more, but for now that is enough for now. Here we have the collection there, task. Inside the task we have the record, and this is the unique ID that I just created. And in here you can see all the field inside. Okay, You can create another one by clicking on the document here. Auto generate ID again. And also make sure that you have the same field as before, which is title. Writing report. This one is done. Before we mark it true, right? Now we can mark if for now we have it true, and then the field here created at maybe the same thing 29 0C 2022 accept. Okay, so you have two documents here. We call document or record. All right. So here is your database management interface that you can see or record. If we are working it, make it work here. When you write here and you enter, it should save it into the here as well. Okay, and the same thing if you modify anything here, when you refresh the page here, you should see all this as well. All right. Any problem until now? Let me know if you have any problem. Okay. Okay, so after this, I want to move all this information because this information, if you put it in here, and everyone can see your information, right? So it's not recommended to put in this information inside your application directly like this because it's not safe, right? You can create the environment file, call it .env. If you are building your app using the UCLI, it should recognize by default. If you are building by your own, you need to configure a lot, but I recommend just to build up by using the UCLI. Okay, and here you can create the list of information that you don't want to share it with anyone else. Okay, so everyone have their own environment, and when I deploy into the when I push into to the Git, and someone else download my code, they need to change this in env by themselves. So now I will copy this into this just for reference, but the format is different. Normally you should write it as you up, and then this the prefix, and then here let's mark it as API key like this. Okay, and copy this. in here. See? So this will be the key, and normally the key should be in capital letter. Make it the same for every order here. Okay, I have you up for old domain. Copy this. Okay, and then we have the you up for the project ID, and copy this. Then we have you up for the story bucket. Okay, copy this, and then we have you up for the messaging sender ID. Actually, this one is for the fast rate like PDF video that I show you. This for notification. We don't use it yet, but maybe later, who know. So copy it everything, and this one is important, which is the app ID. Okay. Maybe you can use the code here to make. It's not necessary to have the code, but make sure it's a string so that you can see the key and value is different. So just make it have the code. Okay. So when you have everything, you can just remove all this. Save it. Okay, and then after you have done it here, you should be able to access it inside your code by using the process.env. Something like process.env.api key, right? So copy this into this. Okay. Then we just move this. Later I will send post the code again. Just make sure you understand now. Okay, so now we are keeping your secret information safe by doing all this, and then you have a separate file here, and then you need to make sure that this file is not pushed along with your other code into the GitHub. So go to the Git ignore here. Make sure there is a file called .env. Here we have .env.local, .env. Blah 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 .local. So I create another one called .env here. Save it, and then try to run git status from here. You should then see the .env here, right? If you see it, you need to clear the cache from the git. All right. If not, let me remove this. Git status. See, there's another env, right? And we don't want to send this information into the GitHub because this is important. This is our secret, personal secret key that I don't want anyone to see it. So I need to put in here, make sure the Git ignore it, not care about this. All right. So instead, I will create the .env.example here so that you can copy. All right. I will copy all this, put it in the example, but I will remove all the information. Okay. So you guys can just rename the .env.example into .env. And you can only change the value here to make it faster. Okay. So now let's try it, if it works or not. Okay. When you change .env, you need to stop your running server before running again. If not, it doesn't recognize. So we try to let me try here. Maybe in the app.u. For now, we just want to test it. We can access to the .env that we just created. Here, let's go to the mounted here. This is one of the life cycle that we are going to work on. So let's just see it now. Mounted is the life cycle. You refer to the slide presentation from here. Here, the mounted is the life cycle hook that you can access to your application. It normally when it's in the mounted, you can have access all to the component as well as the template and the render DOM. So it means that when you use or you write your code inside the mounted lifecycle, you have all access to everything. Even the HTML, the data, anything that because in this stage, in this period of time, everything is already rendered. Everything else is already accessible. Okay, that's why I write in the mounted here, because I want to make sure that whatever I write here can have access to anything inside my component. Okay. So when you write the mounted here, you write it as a function like this. Make sure the name is correct, following by the parentheses. Okay. So I can try to console log here, because I want to access to the process.env, right? Here, I want to confirm that I can access to this. So let me try to use this. Process.env.uid. So if everything working fine, I should see this value here. Then we run serve again. You go to here, you click inspect as a write console log. What? SRC man. Let me comment this for now. Here, there's something about the template they are copied, but you can ignore it. Don't worry about this one. Just this, you can see here, process.env, and then we have access to the value here. Okay, so meaning that you can access to the env that we create in here. All right, so we come back here. Initialize app. Let's try to solve this. I'm not sure what's wrong here. Module not found. Package path is not exported from package. What's wrong? Let me change this. Firebase. Here we have Firebase. You good? Firebase. Listen. Import Firebase from Firebase. I think this sample problem from Firebase, the recent update, because I found this problem as well in the internet here. Normally, if you cannot show it, just search, copy the error, and here they say there are some update recently that they are not working. Okay, so it's not just us, right? So even the big company like Google, they have an error as well. Yeah, looking good now. So if you found the error, search it first before asking someone. And normally, 90% is already there. That's why Stack Overflow Google is very important for us as a developer. Okay, so here the main JS is ready. We have the Firebase config ready. We initialize the app here. Okay, we put in the main.js because we want to initialize only once. Okay, main.js here run only once when the application starts. That's why I put it in here. So I have done here, so I just push to Git first in case you haven't, you cannot follow me too fast or what. So I git add, commit, integrate with Firebase. Okay. So I put into the GitHub. You can change from there, but make sure that when you clone it, you cannot find this file .env. But instead, you can find the env.example. Copy it, don't just rename. Copy it, create another file, and rename to env because you want to keep the env.example reference. Okay, and when you copy it, you need to input the value from the Firebase console. Okay, so now the integration is done. After that, we want to try to access our database here. Where is our database? Here. We want to try to read all of this, if it works fine or not. Okay. I give you some maybe 5 minutes to clone it or to update your code. To run it again because I stop it here. Okay. យើងមិនមានបញ្ហាទេសួរខ្ញុំណាសួរខ្មែរក៏បាននេះក៏បានដែរ Let me just drop. Okay. Disable bootstrap min.js មិនវាប្រើជា query អញ្ចឹងយកទៅការប្រើវាទេយើងទៅការទៅ style ទេជាគប់ពីចាំ Toán ấy chẳng.
Chứ mấy ngomong mở to lắm chờ lộp e là bootstrap
Nè nó có index for the public index nhé. Hay mấy những miền mặt toàn không nè. Nè, nhưng mà bootstrap á hay miền là bootstrap thầm đó miền là CS and JS. Dưới ở thời ca JS thì phải sao JS nó bị purchase query. Chẳng như lục mà toàn ông chào tới thì tục là CS bài này. Sao biết bắt error này. All right. So can we continue now? For anyone that cannot follow me on too quick, you can just clone again. I sent you the link before here. You clone again, you will receive all the code that I just changed, except this one, all right? And then you duplicate this one, copy and paste, copy and paste again, and rename it into just .env like this. All right, because I already have one, that's why it doesn't allow me. And then you need to copy, because what you see like this, doesn't have the value, right? So you copy all the information here and put it in here. And where you get this information, it is from this here. If you already close it, you can just go to project overview here, and then click on the app here. Click here. You should see the key somewhere here. Let me find it here. All right. Copy all this into the NB. There's it. Here. Got it? And then we try to access to the file web data. Even for me, and I'm not sure yet as well. So try to import it. Let's just follow the documentation of Firebase. Import Firebase. Let's try here because I am afraid that if we import normally it doesn't work. So let me try this. And then let's try here. The documentation, you can follow it inside Firebase. You should see the getting started here. So after you install it, you access to Firebase app by running db get Firebase up here. Get Firebase, get file store up. And then let's try find it. There are a lot, because in here there are a lot of more detail, or maybe just for easy search, Firebase UGS get data, just like this. Let's see. Something like this. File store, equal database that file store, and then file store collection. It's looking good. Just follow this. Or if you have stamp, just read the documentation previously. It should be the same. Okay. So let's try to do it. Firebase. Let's try task reference, and then Firebase dot database dot grab. Here the key should be the task with us, and then we can try to read it. task wrap dot once. What I write here, just follow the sample, okay? Now insert the value function snapshot snapshot dot for each function children snapshot console.log child snapshot. Okay, I just follow the document from internet, or you can follow the document from the Fiber as well. So what I do it here, I just try to import fibers again inside the component that we are using, that we are trying to access the data. And then in here, we can remove it here. I try to make a reference with the database collection, which is task that we create just a moment ago. Yeah, and then because when we are accessing to the collection task, normally we get as an array. There are a lot of things inside the collection, so we read it as like an array format. So we get a snapshot, and then in the snapshot there is a list of data. We look it one by one and we log it out. So if this working fine, we should see all the information in the console log. There's something error here. There are two. Okay, let me see this, because there is an error about this importing. I think that import doesn't work here. Let me see the document in Firebase directly. Just read it. Maybe better to use the before one. Just follow the doc. Here in the main, just remove all this. Then we can just run like this. And then inside here, we can get the database. Copy this. Here, remove all this. And I think get file store. Okay. Remove this. Not sure. Should go here. Let's try it. Look fine here. Okay, so let's change this. Sorry guys, I'm not sure why it doesn't work. I tried before, it should work fine. I think I need to downgrade the version of Firebase. It seems the lateral version doesn't work well. Let me downgrade the version 8. Let me change the version of Firebase. The version 9 doesn't working well. So I go to packages on, change here to 7.19. And if we change the version here, we should remove the node module, install again to make sure that everything is correct. So I just run remove the node module and install it again. Okay, and run npm install. Okay, so we should have the Firebase version 7 now. And then let's try to follow the doc again. Normally we don't need to use this. Import Firebase from Firebase. Then just do like we have done before, Firebase.initialize up. It shouldn't show any error again. I need to start server here. Okay. It doesn't. Firebase warning. Okay, because I access here, so it should follow what we have done by trying to access to the reference. Let me try to reference again. So we should like task wrap Firebase the database, and here it should be /task here. So let's log it out. It should show something here. Okay, so that's work now. Before it doesn't show anything here. Okay, so let's just do like what we did it before. We remove this. We access to the data by calling task wrap.once value function snapshot. Then let's say we loop on it, snapshot dot for each. Snapshot is an array, and then we can console.log the element that we get. What for each here should be the function. I will use arrow function already. What I did wrong again? TIR. This snapshot dot for each array here, and then we can console log the element inside. Okay. It should work fine. But where is my data? You should see our data here. Database here. We are expecting to see these two records. Doesn't show. Let's just search. Web.js with data. We should have a lot of examples. No, not real-time database. DB collection get.then. It should be simple like this. DB but where is the DB? Finish layup file store. Okay. So let's remove this again. It should work, but I'm not sure why. File store. Below the document, DB file base initial up file store. Then and then be access to the document collection.get. Maybe I shouldn't use file base. I just want to log here. Let's try it one more time. Okay, I think this is our data. So we just need to read it like this. Okay, refresh again. Okay, so now we can access to this information. There are a lot of ways to read it, and with Firebase, the latest version 9, I think there are not a lot of documents that we can use it yet. Maybe that's why I now I reduce it to version 7 here, 7.19. Okay. And then inside the same thing as before, and in up here, what I do is just import it from the Firebase up here. I call it CreateDB to create a file store, because you see in Firebase there are a lot of tools in here. See, there are authentication, real-time database, storage, hosting, a lot of things. And then if we want to connect to the file store, we need to call it a function called file store here. So DB here is become a client that can access you from client to the file store. And from there, you can call db.collection.task. Task here is the collection name that you create in here. So if you have another collection, let's say we have another one like a user. I forgot to input here. Name. Okay, like the user here, you can access it by just changing the collection name to user, and everything should work the same thing. See, we have another record. So with Firebase, we don't write query like star from table with condition. We write it in a programming way, but we need to follow the documentation of Firebase, depend on the version it has. Okay, so what I do now, I collect to the collection called we should use task here, and then call get to get all the data. And then when we got it, we got a snapshot. A snapshot is a collection of data inside it. Normally, if you have 1,000 or million of record, it doesn't return everything. It returns a snapshot, meaning that a section of that data. And so that you can query it, you get the snapshot, and then you read it, because what you return is a lot of data inside. You map it, something like this, and then you can log it out. Okay. So it's a bit of a problem because I haven't tried with the version 9. That's why this thing doesn't work like I did. But anyway, we have make it work now. So I post it again so you can try it on your side. Update Firebase version. No, not update, but downgrade. Firebase version to 7.19. Okay, I hope that worked now. At least for now, we have the Firebase working fine. By the way, if you want to see it in your local, make sure that you create a collection called task here. If not, you will return nothing. See nothing. Okay. And after we have all the data, we coming back to the here. You see the mounted. Why I write it in the mounted here? Because I want to make sure that the process.env is working fine. Because process.env, it should be rendered after the data is ready. All right. So mounted is just like in a life cycle that make sure that you are that you think that everything working fine. But if you You can also use it in some other life cycle as well. For example, the created here. The created is the life cycle that run just after the component is created, but the interface is not rendered yet. You see, you can find the document here inside the slide presentation. Scroll it to the top. Created here. Okay, so it run before the template and with your DOM have been mounted or rendered. Some data is not yet ready, but at least another option is to write it in the created lifecycle. Okay, and normally there is a pair. There is a created and there is a before create. Okay, I write in the document here. Before create and created. Same here, before mount and mounted. Okay, but what is the important here is another property, which is the computed property and the void property. So we are going to work with these two. What are the difference between the void property and the computed property? So here you can put in the created here as well, because at this time your code inside doesn't really work with the template or maybe the data inside. I just create another task for this component to get the collection. So it doesn't really connect it with the component. So it doesn't matter. You can try and create it or maybe even before create. Okay. So we go to this. I stop server. So we need to start it again. Okay. So we have this record, right? So what we are going to do, we are going to convert this data to display it inside our template here and here. All right. So in the example, we have 3 tasks, which is not yet done, and 1 task which is done. But they are just the sample data, so we replace this and then use this data instead. Okay. We have 2 tasks. One is done for true, and another is done for false. So if it rendered correctly, it should show inside this two separate page. So for now, what we need to do is you need to create your data section here. Okay, in Vue.js, you have the data property that store your local data. Let's say I just create a message from hello. Okay. And then here inside created the life cycle, you are requesting data from the Firebase. Okay, and after you get the data, instead of storing inside here, maybe you can just assign this data into our private data section here, so that you can access it later on, right? So I can list task here, which is by default is an array. And then after we get it, we can assign it to the task that we get here. Or maybe in short, you can just copy this and put like this. Okay, the same thing, right? It's shorter. Okay, so after you run this, you're coming back into our application, refresh it, and then you can go to View in the tab, go to up here. You should see 2 tasks here. One is the we have to record inside our array. This one is the writing report. This one is watching this that I just create entity here. Okay. You can also create more, maybe to see the difference. Title, read book, that field is done. Here is Boolean, should be 4. And then maybe create it at like 2003 2022. Save it. So when we change like this, refresh it here. You see there are 3 records inside our task. Okay, the read book is here. Okay, so for now we are not building the backend by ourselves. We are just using the Firebase, and actually you can consider using it in maybe in your small project. If you want to build yourself, you can do it as well. And after we get the data here, meaning that the task here have a lot of data already, right? So we can render it by replacing the sample here. Take out the draft by bread. They are just the sample, so we can remove all of those things. Remove them. Just keep one for the so that we can loop over it. And then after we have this, what we need to change is this one, right? So let's use the directive v4 task in task here refer to the data here. Okay, and then when we use v4, this one is you can call anything what you want. You can call it element, you can call it ABC, whatever, but to make it easy to understand, I call it task without s. See? And then there is an error below. So you put your mouse over it, you see that task is not defined but never used, and also we need to have a bind key. When you do directive v4, you make sure that you need to assign a key, a unique key to it. If not, we'll have an error later. Okay, so each li is a list item. We need to define a key, and the value of the key should be unique. So what is the unique? You can check inside here. There is, make sure you have something that can be used as unique. I don't think anything that is unique. So maybe it's simple, you can edit it and that field, like let's call it ID. Okay. Just let's call it ID. Because we want something unique. Okay. This one is 3, this one is 2, this one is 1. Actually, if you can get this dog ID, you cannot do so as well, but we don't have it yet, so just create something unique. So after you get that, you will have a unique ID here. So I will write it like task.id like this. No, not S, task without S. See, there's no more error. And then you can replace this by using the two curly braces, task.title, like this. Okay. So let's try to refresh it. See, we have the data from our Firebase, right? Read book, writing report, posting this. Okay. So I will post the code up until now so that you can try it inside your machine. Okay. Okay, so let's try in your local. Okay, does it work? ដើរអត់ ប្រសិនបើពិបាក set up នេះខ្ញុំផ្ញើនេះឲ្យតសនសិនក៏ខ្ញុំចង់ផ្ញើនេះឲ្យដើម្បីយើងឲ្យពួកយើងចេះបង្កើតខ្លួនឯងតែ app ហ្នឹងតិចទៀតខ្ញុំលុបចោលវិញណាចឹងកុំពឹងលើនេះគ្រាន់តែប្រសិនបើដល់អសនទៅ set up file backup លើ file back console តាមដាទេអាច copy របស់ខ្ញុំយកទៅដាក់នៅក្នុង env ទៅគួរអាស្រ័យបាន Okay, so after this, inside our example here, you can see the data task here. There are 3 items inside, but there are 2 which is done equal 4. No, 1 is done if no. There are 2 tasks which have is done equal 4, which is here and here, and there are another task which is done equal true. So there are many tasks which is mixed together, and we want us to separate it because there are 2 lists here, right? We have a to do should list all the tasks which is not yet done, and here we should list all the tasks that is already done. So we cannot make it like this. Instead of filter by yourself, you can use the computed property to do this. So here at the bottom, you can create a computed property that will return the data that you can use to calculate the data inside like this computed property. You can use computed property to render different data, or maybe you can use it to do the calculation like filtering data calculation, or maybe you use it for condition EVF, or you use it with the UX, which is map getter. Okay, and more than this, not just this 4, but this 4 is the task that you normally do with the computed property. So now we are going to use this computed property to filter the task which is done and the task which is not yet done. All right. So here is the syntax computed like this, and then you can inside you can create a function name like this, like done task, something like this. Return no. This task. When you are accessing the variable inside the data, you need to use this in front. If you are just accessing it from the template, you don't need to have this prefix here. So the task is an array, right? So you can use the filter the filter, and then inside the filter, you can maybe call it element like whatever, and then e dot is done smart true. Okay, or maybe in short, you can just remove this because it's done is a boolean. Okay, value is true or false, so it's just like this. And another one, which is the delta. This one it should be to do task. Okay, call it whatever you want. And here it should have like this because we want to return any task that is not yet done. Okay, the syntax here is from a JavaScript array. While using the filter, you can search more in the internet. Just type JavaScript array filter. It will show a lot of examples. If you don't want to use filter, you can just use a simple loop. You can also use the simple loop as well. For example, let's say constant done task, which is an array. You can loop over it by using for example, for let task of this dot task. Okay, if task dot is done task dot post task. Okay, you can do so as well, but you need to write a lot, right? This one just a single line, but this one several lines. Okay? I loop over it, I check if the task is done, and push it into the array done task here, and finally I return the done task. Okay, the same thing. So let's try this and then check it if it works or not. So you can inspect in the view tab here. The task here is should refresh. I forgot to start here. Okay, try again. So you see the same thing because we haven't changed the template yet. But inside you can see the task. We have 3, and then you see a computed section here. There are 2. One is done task, another one is to do task. See, the done task only one because we filter it out by turning all the tasks which is done about equal true, and this one is done equal false. See. So the commutative property here is useful when you want to do the filter immediately because the commutative property will be executed immediately when the data is changed. For example, here we depend on this data, right? So if this data is changed at some point, it will re-render directly. Let's try it out. So let's say we change it. It's done here, maybe this one, true, right? We can change it to I want to change it, but it doesn't allow me to change. You can try to change it to 4, and it will be immediately update here. Okay, but because I cannot change it now, you can update it from this. So let's render our template. It doesn't render correctly now. It should show only 1 in or 2 in here and 1 in here. So coming back to our template, instead of going through all the tasks, we go through only the done task. Okay, so you see only 1, right? And here, instead of the static data here, we will look through it as well. Write it here, v4, and then done. Wait, I write it wrong. This one is to do task, not done task. And this one should be the done task. Like this. Like this. And don't forget about the key. Task.id. Okay, and then we replace this with the content from the task like this. Okay, so there are two here. I should change it to title. Okay, the read book is not yet done. The watching list is not yet done, but the writing report is already done. See, this is the benefit of the computed property. Okay, so let's say I want to change the read book here to the done as well by clicking on the change box here. What I need to do is just when I click on the change box here, I just change the is done to false. No, it's done to true. Currently it's false. So I just change it to true. And the computed property we update immediately. So let's try it out. There's the input where is the checkbox here. Here is our checkbox. We can use to do list. Not here. I think it should be here. We can use something like a chain. Okay, let's make simple. Mark as done. Right. So let's say it's like this. And then we need to pass something to here. We need to use the task.id as a parameter. So when you click on the input here, you will find all the to-do tasks and change it to done, right? So create a method inside here. And here should mark as done. Task ID, right? The task ID passing from the template. And inside you need to find all the tasks so that you can update. You can update is the task to done. To do so, you can search the task that we have. Find task equal this dot task dot find. You can use that find here. Okay, so you loop through every task to find the item which have ID equal to this task ID. I think we want to find the index, right? In JavaScript, you can have another function to find index like this. JavaScript array find index. What I do find is find the item, but we want to find the index, so you can use find index here. Like this, a.find index. It will return the ID, array ID. Okay. So instead of find, change to find index, you can try to console log here. Okay. So when you come to here, console clear, like read book, and check on it, see 0 because it's position 0. Click on this 2 because watching this is in position 2. You can see in here watching this position 2. Find index, you return this number. See? 0, 1, 2. If we don't use find index, but I use find only, just like this, it will return the value, not the index. So let's try again. See? You see the read book, something like this, right? But we don't want to find the item, but we want to find the index. Because after we find the index, we will write it like this task. Find task. In change is done to true. See? So coming back here, after I check the read book, we will go to another section because the competitive property will automatic render here. To do task have 2 now. If I put one more, to do task is 3. Actually, you need to refresh it. I think this from the view, because I use the version 2 here. This one is already version 3, so it shows some error. Actually, you need to use, you will see a computer property here. Then tab will have empty array, and to do tab have 3. But because it's not updated, actually it's updated. It's just that showing you the old one here. But if you haven't saved it into the database, when you refresh it, everything coming back to the same thing. Okay, but because we don't have time, so I will stop here. Instead, I show you the some good tutorial that you can follow to finish what we have done so far. This one is something right. Before we get, but if you want to update it, you use the add here. So there are lots of things you can follow inside here as well. I copy the link here so you can follow it later to complete the update we haven't finished it yet. Okay, here. All right. So before we finish this session, I will post the code that we have done to GitHub so that you can continue. Okay. This will be useful later. So normally when we write in the app, when create the app with the Vuejs, computed is something that you know always do almost all the time, because it's important that we cannot avoid the feature like the filter or maybe render or maybe make something didn't make from the data here. So we always write it with the competitive property. Anyway, so that's it for today. Sorry for the problem. I haven't tested with the version 9, so it doesn't work. So the solution now for Firebase, we are using version 7. Okay, so that's it for today.
Hello, Chuan.
Yes.